In Book 9 of the Odyssey, Odysseus and 12 of his men are trapped in a cave. The entrance has been sealed with a boulder so large that 22 wagons could not move it. Their host has eaten 2 of them for supper and 2 more for breakfast. He is a Cyclops, and he plans to work through the rest of them at the same pace. One-eyed, enormous, the son of Poseidon. Odysseus has no weapon capable of killing him, and no way to move the boulder even if he did. He has nothing but his mind. What he almost does with it afterward is one of the most honest portraits of heroic failure in ancient literature. The Cyclops episode is where we see most clearly what the Odyssey is arguing about: intelligence, both its power and its limits. And it is the episode that earns Odysseus the 9 additional years it takes him to get home. Before Odysseus ever enters the cave, Homer gives us a portrait of the Cyclopes as a society. And the portrait is precise. They live alone. They have no assemblies, no laws, no agriculture. They do not farm. They do not keep communal order. They do not recognize any obligation to other people. Each one rules his own cave and his own family with no reference to any wider community. The word Homer uses for their way of life carries a specific weight. They are without themis, without the divine order that makes civilized social life possible. Polyphemus is the Cyclops taken to its logical extreme. He is not unintelligent. He speaks in full sentences. He tends his flock with evident care. He addresses his favourite dram with what sounds remarkably like tenderness. He is not a mindless brute. He simply lacks the one thing that separates civilized from uncivilized in Homer's understanding: the recognition that other people have claims on you. Xenia, the obligation to strangers, is entirely absent. When Odysseus invokes Zeus, Xenios, the god of guest friendship, Polyphemus dismisses him with contempt. The gods mean nothing to him. The claims of hospitality mean nothing to him. He is, in the most precise structural sense, the anti-host, the figure who inverts every norm of the society that Xenia constitutes. And Homer uses him to define, by contrast, what the civilized world that Odysseus is trying to return to actually is. This is why the episode opens the wanderings proper. Everything that follows, Circe, the sirens, Scylla and Charybdis, the cattle of the sun, is a variation on the question the Cyclops poses. What threatens the human world, and what does it take to survive contact with that threat without becoming it? Odysseus' solution to the cave problem is well known. He gets Polyphemus drunk on wine, drives a sharpened stake into his eye, and escapes by strapping himself and his men to the undersides of the Cyclops' sheep, which Polyphemus lets out to graze in the morning without being able to see under them. But the real move is the name. When Polyphemus, paralyzed by hospitality protocol that Odysseus exploits without himself possessing, asks his guest's name, Odysseus tells him it is nobody, or outis in Greek. When the stake goes in and Polyphemus screams and his neighbours come to ask what's wrong, he shouts that nobody is hurting him, nobody is killing him by trickery. And his neighbours, with impeccable logic, conclude that if nobody is causing harm, then there's nothing to be done, and so they go back to sleep. It is the cleverest trick in Western literature. The false name undoes identity itself. Odysseus does not substitute a false name for a true one, but replaces his name with a negation, temporarily dissolving himself into nobodiness in order to survive. The Cyclops cannot curse what has no name. The other Cyclopes cannot help against nobody. And then Odysseus undoes it. As the ships pull away from the island, as he has, in fact, escaped safely, Polyphemus, blinded and enraged, hurls a fragment of cliff towards the sound of Odysseus's voice, and nearly sinks the ships. Odysseus's companions beg him to be quiet. He ignores them. He shouts back across the water that the man who blinded Polyphemus was not nobody. He is Odysseus, son of Laertes of Ithaca. This act of self-naming is catastrophic. Polyphemus is the son of Poseidon. He prays to his father now, with a name to anchor the curse. Let Odysseus never reach home, or if he must, let him arrive late, alone, on a foreign ship, to find nothing but trouble. Poseidon hears, the curse is granted, the 9 additional years. Every shipwreck, every delay, every lost companion after this point follow directly from this moment. Why does Odysseus name himself? Homer is completely honest about the answer. Pride. He wants Polyphemus to know who has beaten him. He has survived the cave on intelligence, on the suppression of identity, on the patient endurance of indignity. And the moment he is safe, the identity that the strategy required him to suppress erupts. He cannot bear to have won anonymously. Bernard Knox, one of the great 20th century Homerists, observed that Homeric heroes are often undone, not by their vices, but by the excessive expression of their virtues. Odysseus's intelligence is real. His pride in it is also real, and the pride undoes the intelligence at the very moment the intelligence has saved him. The Odyssey is consistently, almost mercilessly honest about this tendency in its hero. He is polytropos, many turning, many weighed, but the turns are not all in the right direction. A note on Polyphemus' single eye, because Homer is not subtle about what it means. Vision in the Odyssey is consistently associated with knowledge and moral apprehension. The gods see everything. The blind are those deprived of outer sight but compensated with inner vision. Tiresias the prophet is blind. Polyphemus' single eye is the visual emblem of this partial, self-centered world. He sees himself and his flock and nothing beyond. He has literally partial vision. He cannot see, in either sense, the claims of others on him. When Odysseus drives the stake in, he does not kill the Cyclops. He destroys the instrument of Polyphemus' limited vision. What remains is a creature of pure appetite and pure vengeance, stripped even of the partial sight he had. The blinding is the logical completion of what the Cyclops already was. And the stake is made from an olive tree, the tree of Athena, the tree of civilization, the tree that is also at the center of Odysseus and Penelope's marriage bed back in Ithaca. Whether Homer intends the echo or not, it is there. The weapon of intelligence and the symbol of home are made of the same wood. Next week we spend a year on an island. Odysseus has made it as far as Aiaia, and his men have been turned into pigs. The island of the sorceress Circe. This is, it turns out, recoverable. What is less recoverable is the year they end up spending there, in what the poem treats as a pleasant interval between disasters. The Circe episode raises questions the poem handles with more candour than most of its later inheritors managed. About pleasure without shame. About what recovery from war actually requires, and about what it means that the most intellectually interesting woman in the Odyssey is not the one who gets the credit. I'll see you next Thursday.